Hey there, fellow adult collectors. Welcome back. David Eon here with another virtual video tour of a vintage Toy Fair catalog, and today's subject is the 1997 Hasbro Toy Fair catalog to encompass Playskool, Kenner, and Tonka, which were at this point under the Hasbro umbrella. And we'll go ahead and get started. And there's a lot of great stuff in here. And if you haven't seen, I've done other video catalog tours before. If you're interested in this, you might be interested in those as well. I've done catalogs from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. This one has G.I. Joe commemorative. It's got Star Wars. It's got Vortech, which a lot of people don't remember those action figures at all. Batman Legends, Goosebumps, a lot of great stuff in here. And that's towards the end of the catalog. We are going to look at every page and work our way across. And I'll be brief with a lot of it because I know most of you are interested primarily in the action figures. It says germs don't play at Playskool. Playskool has Microverse exclusive germ fighting technology built right into the toy. Yeah, it doesn't do much good if you don't wash it, just saying. Tubers and Zots. Who remembers that? Creative Toys. Tubers and Zots. Oh, and this opens up into a panel, and you'll see that in this catalog a lot, actually, where it opens up into a fold-out page. And I don't know if I would do a catalog beyond 1997. This one opens up also, because at that point is when, and this is Paper Creations Spin and Paints, beyond 1997, because they realized, or the toy industry realized that they were targeting an adult market, and so this kind of display in the catalogs kind of disappeared. And this makes Powdered Candy Creations. So messy and used up in one day. Spirograph, that's a classic. Spirograph. That is to say, like, instead of a format like this, it would be little blocks with a small picture and a paragraph next to it in a lot of the catalogs after this time period, because they knew they were losing their child audience. Easy Bake, that's a classic toy. Oh, look at this. Mix and Make, I don't remember that. Little Mr. Potato Head like cookie or something. Cool to Eat. And Dunkin' Donuts donut hole treats. You make your own donut treats. I don't remember that either. But that kind of a novelty got real popular for a while in the 2000s. Like a Christmas gift kind of a thing. Wonder World turns water into a world of creativity. Is that a fold-out page? Yes, it is. The shuttle looks cool. So it's like a water globe kind of a toy. That's interesting, actually. WWSA, huh? Couldn't say NASA. They couldn't get that NASA license. Wonder World. That looks interesting, actually. Play-Doh, always a classic. Minnie's Sweets and Tea Assortment. Don't eat it, I'm telling you. And Mickey gets to be a pirate. It looks like. Interesting. Play-Doh hair cutting. Oh, this is another fold-out page. Yeah, I got to watch out for that because, see, Fuzzy Pumper Barber and Beauty Shop. And then a camera. Okay. And Play-Doh soap. I don't remember that either. Play-Doh's been around for a long time. Moving right along, Playskool, Snuzz, Snuzzles. whatever snuzzles are. It's a blanket with a bear head attached, and it folds up. Anybody remember this? Busy beads, popping fun, hourglass. Oh, this is a glowworm. Lights, sound, action. Like I said, with the baby stuff, I'll just kind of fly through this here. Inflatable fun. That doesn't sound like much fun to me, because you'd have to keep re-inflating it. You know, the kid's leaning on it all day. He's just going to squeeze the air out of it. I don't think that's a very good idea for a toy. Just saying. I know I say a lot of things. Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head, and Mr. Potato Head. Fashions, a cowboy, ballerina, construction worker, and inflatable friend. That doesn't look inflatable. That looks like a plush. 18 inches tall. Maybe it's got fabric on the outside of it. I don't remember them making that either. And it could be that they didn't, you know, without going off to check really quickly. It's possible they didn't make it, because often in these catalogs you see things that were never produced. Toy Story. For example, the last catalog I did was a 1981 Mattel Toy Fair catalog, and it had some Clash of the Titans stuff in there that was never produced. Play School Dinosaurs. And some assorted baby toys, if you will. Lincoln Logs. Lincoln Logs is another classic toy, although this one had action figures. And it was simplified because you see there are no roof slats. The roofs of these buildings are actually solid pieces. When I played with Lincoln Logs as a kid, you had to assemble the roof. But yeah, it's interesting. Action figure sets for Lincoln Logs. Mid-price assortment. General store. Log cabin. Anybody remember these sets coming out? Frontier fun for everyone, so it says. That's interesting. Woodland Junction. And this style of like roadway has been around for a while. You see this mostly with Thomas the Tank Engine nowadays. So they do still kind of produce this toy. Or it is produced. I don't know if it's Hasbro doing it, but Thomas the Tank Engine is a good example of that. Barney. Blech. Barney and friends. Gonna be sick. My oldest was really into Barney. Barney figure gift pack. Those are figurines. They don't move. Doesn't tell you how big they are either. Arthur. I always found that show kind of annoying. Arthur. Not a fan of Arthur. That's alright. Somebody is. Cool Tools. I think I remember these. Cool Tools assortment, so that you could like build up and disassemble these vehicles. It's got like a little buffer. Power Auto Repair Center. That's cute. Kids don't do enough of this kind of stuff anymore. They sit there and push buttons all day. And then when it comes time to do something useful or mechanical, they lack the skill sometimes. Just reminiscing a little bit about my days with the Juvenile Justice Authority and working with teenagers who couldn't even operate a can opener. Play around dollhouse with little play school figures. A garden wedding gazebo. So you get a little cake back there and everything. Revolving dance floor. Family van. Uh-oh. Minivan. And the dollhouse. Play around dollhouse. And believe it or not, we're actually about halfway through the catalog. The action figures will be coming up here shortly. Blender and stovetop and kitchen sets. Something else little kids should play with, I think. And they just don't anymore. There's a Play-Doh set. You can make a little Play-Doh bacon. That's cute. Durasport, including an inflatable Lincoln Logs log cabin. That looks fun. Some little ride-on vehicles and fake rollerblades. Hasbro Girls section. My Special Angel. I don't recognize these either. I don't recognize everything though. You know, I know a lot about action figures and toys, but sometimes, you know, I can't know it all. I don't know anything about My Special Angel dolls. I was never really into dolls all that much anyway. Baby did it. What does that mean? Does it wet itself? What happened? The baby did it. Okay. Baby checkup. So it comes with a little doctor kit. Raggedy Ann, the original doll with a heart, which fell into Hasbro because Knickerbocker was defunct at this point. There was no more Knickerbocker, but the Raggedy Ann license was being held onto by Hasbro, and I think Applause had it too. Raggedy Ann's just not really out there anymore, is it? Do they still make Raggedy Ann? So, Littlest Pet Shop. Kind of like Polly Pocket, but with little animals, little cats and dogs. Try to get in there a little closer. So I know this is in the area. Oh, those are turtles. This is an area that some of you guys might be a little more interested in. This looks to me like something that some people might be nostalgic for. Maybe some little kid remembers having these. Just let you take a look real quick here. Oh. It's a shoe. And then the second page here. Little wedding set, it looks like. Sandcastle. Some other little accessories, smaller sets. Now, I remember Littlest Pet Shop. That sounds familiar. Hasbro Boys. You know what that means. Star Wars. Star Wars action figures assortment. And of course, by this time, Kenner is completely owned and operated by Hasbro. When did that happen? Was it, I think, 91 or 92? Hasbro bought out Kenner. And I remember these figures. I remember that Jawa 2-pack. But you see how they kind of displayed them in a diorama and made it look adventurous? In later catalogs, this just wasn't being done anymore. How those two, showing you how those two fit together. Whoops. Get back in focus to create a little diorama. And then the small vehicle assortment on the next page here. cruise missile trooper. That looks kind of cool. I was never big into the 90s Star Wars figures. I had some. I don't have them anymore, but it's not something I really see myself pursuing. And then right here is the T16 Sky Hopper. Or Luke's T16 Sky Hopper, and then you see how it breaks down, and they show the figure in the middle there. More Star Wars, and this is the deluxe figures, the 12-inch figure collector series, or nowadays they would call this 6th scale. Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, doesn't really look much like them. Keep in mind, not as detailed sculpting, and that also helped to keep Hasbro from having to pay royalties. Keeps the price down. These are starting to get popular with a lot of 90s collectors too. That absolutely, though, looks like the prototype. That looks like it's sculpted out of clay in the picture there. Darth Vader. And then on this side, Boba Fett, Princess Leia, who also looks like that looks like it's carved out of wood. It might be, if that's the prototype they photographed. Boba Fett, Princess Leia, classic stormtrooper, sand people, Bespin gear, Luke Skywalker. How's that sculpt look? I don't know if that looks like Mark Hamill to me. The fuzziest Chewbacca ever. This is Chewbacca after a shower and a blow dry. that is not convincing at all. I almost want to have this just because of how silly it looks. And then Billy D as Lando Calrissian. Lando Calrissian. Very nice. And then the Electronic Collector's Fleet, it says. High quality, incredibly detailed replicas bring the large bulk cruisers from the trilogy to life. Doesn't tell you how big they are. I think that would be something that would be kind of important to, you know, from the perspective of a salesman whoever put this catalog together, to let the buyer know how much or how large things are going to be. Like back here, they made it clear that this was a 12-inch figure assortment. But then over here, you don't know how big those are. I guess the salesman would have to tell you if you were interested. Jurassic Park. Something has survived. I used to have all the original 90s Jurassic Park figures, part of the collection I lost. I've talked about that before. I did a video on it not too long ago because a lot of people wanted me to follow up. But I had a massive collection that I lost many years ago. Dino Snare dirt bike. Biting dino assortment over here. And they're still making these figures, and they're pretty popular, actually. Giant Attack Dino Assortment. That looks like a figurine. It doesn't look like it's jointed at all. And again, it could be a picture of a prototype. Legends of the Dark Knight. And I had this whole set too. I forgot all about having the Legends of the Dark Knight figures until recently. I had so much stuff I don't even remember. Legends of the Dark Knight, and hopefully you can see that clearly because it is kind of dark. I also like here how they demonstrate the packaging. And the Skywing street bike. That thing looks ridiculous. That looks like something McFarlane Toys would make now, actually. Total Justice figure assortment. And that looks like the display right out of Toy Fair. Wouldn't you think? Try to get nice and close on that there. Just pan down because you really can't see everybody. And neither does it name all the figures. Since when does Darkseid need a gripping arm? He must have borrowed it from Clamp Champ over at Mattel. And then down here what they call Duo Force. Oh, did you see the representation of the packaging? And down here is Duo Force. Turbo Surge Batman. The Adventures of Batman and Robin figures, basically. Vector Wing Batman. Airstrike Robin. I guess he's standing on a little platform. That reminds me of those things that Dick Tracy used to ride around in. Mr. Freeze. One of my favorite characters, actually, Mr. Freeze. I like Mr. Freeze. And Superman Assortment. From their animated series. Try to let you get in there real close and get a good look at those. It's armored Superman with what looks like a couple of atomic bombs. I didn't have any of these. I don't think I did. And wrist communicators. Basically walkie-talkies you strapped onto your hand. Probably didn't work as well as any other walkie-talkie. You know those things, if you walked into the next room and closed the door, you couldn't hear anything. The signal was lost. Oh, this was a 2-pager, or a flip page. 16-inch light-up Superman. Plush. And a bop bag. Who remembers bop bags? Do they even make those anymore? Action playset. They capture Lex Luthor there. It says the Star Cloning Lab. And the other piece here is the Metropolis Bank. Or the door, anyways. To the Metropolis Bank. The Metropolis City Bank. Microverse figures. Is that a fold-out page? Yes, it is. So Microverse. Miniatures. So those would be like 1-inch little, I think, die-cast figures, right? It doesn't say what they're made out of. I'm assuming die-cast. Superman mecha. Batman and Robin Rogues Gallery. And you know, they still make stuff like this. Little tiny vehicles. Tonka Tough Truck series. Let's just throw those in there. It's got nothing to do with Batman. There's a whale. Beast Wars. Maximal Orkanock micro playset. That's cool. Look at this. Did they make this? This does not look familiar at all. I don't know a lot about Beast Wars, but that doesn't look familiar. Someone can tell me if they made this. And Transformers, what? Predacon Arachnid micro playset. And then over here, because you know micro playsets were made real popular with Polly Pocket and Mighty Max. The second incarnation of Mighty Max, the original Mighty Max, was made by Tomy in the late 70s. And it was like a 12-inch figure. Goosebumps playset. And then Batman on the bottom there. And that brings us into Beast Wars. Moving right along. I told you there was a lot of action figure goodness in here. You were nervous when you started seeing baby toys, but now you know. Mega Beasts is Inferno, and who is that other one? I don't recognize him. Air Razor, Razor Claw, Armadillo, Insecticon, Snapper. I like how they have to specify that the figures do not actually fly. Really? I want my money back. Rhinox, Cyber Shark, Wolfang, Black Arachna, Jetstorm, Tigatron, and Buzzsaw. Again, not big on Beast Wars. My son knows a lot about Beast Wars. Big Transformers fan. I know he's got a lot of Beast Wars. I don't know if he still collects them. Vortech. Here's a very forgotten action figure series, Vortech. And this is, I think, pretty much it. And if you look at it, it says Undercover Conversion Squad. A forgotten action figure series, and this is pretty much it right here. That's all you're going to get. And this is Hasbro trying to reinvent Mask since they own the Kenner license. And so they kind of retooled, because these are like little figures like Mask, and you can see the heavy influence of Mask in these figures. The shapes of the vehicles, the helmet, the small figures. And this is not a series that lasted. I mean, I don't think they made but whatever you see on these couple of pages. And unless you're big into Mask, you probably don't even know these exist. And they're not cheap. They're not cheap aftermarket. They're about as expensive as the Mask figures. I never had any of these, but it looks like something I would be interested in simply because of my interest in Mask. But they don't come up too often. So there is something new for you to wonder about if you've never seen these before. Something else to hurt your wallet if you want them, basically. And like I said, I don't think much more than what you just saw was produced. It's just an attempt by Hasbro to revisit Kenner. Now the G.I. Joe Classics collection says this year's holiday edition is a D-Day salute featuring a soldier from the Big Red One. And this size and style of G.I. Joe figure was very popular ever since the Hall of Fame line. French Foreign Legion, U.S. Tank Commander, Army Drill Sergeant. You get the idea. And they're decent looking figures, and the articulation is better than was the Hall of Fame figures. 4-pack gift assortment, it says, and those are obviously reissues of the 3 3/4 inch assortment. Of original figures. Official foot locker. Hasbro's always been well known for those G.I. Joe foot lockers. Mission gear assortments. And these are clothing sets. They don't come with figures. And this, by the way, is where I get my dog tag from. If you've ever run into me at a convention and I was wearing a G.I. Joe dog tag, this one, this is actually the salesman's dog tag from the 1997 Toy Fair. So if you were working the Hasbro booth in Toy Fair in 1997, you had one of these. And that's where I get this from. Action Man, which I had some of these. Ninja Eyes, it says. And then the Climber. And I know all of this is right up MIB Master Museum's alley. If you haven't seen MIB Master Museum, it's another channel here on YouTube. And he's got a lot of this kind of stuff, and he's very enthusiastic about it. Starting lineup, 12-inch assortment. So these are like basically G.I. Joe starting lineups. Cal Ripken Jr. And then we jump into Tonka out of nowhere. And this is obviously for little kids. And these are figurines, not action figures. And they're little. There are some more action figures in this catalog, though. We're just going to have to get to it here in a moment. Some Plush. Magna Crew. XRC action vehicle assortment. Rev them up and watch them race. SSPs. Pull the ripstick for super fast racing action. Nerf Sports. Which Nerf is still around and still popular. Although mostly due to the guns. And here you see some of those earlier guns right here. Cyber Strike gear. Goosebumps. kind of like thing makers. Worm House snack making playset. Yuck. Ugh. Corn syrup playset, basically. Cuddles the hamster game. And then the action figure assortment. And these are 12-inch figures. Some 12-inch figures. Goosebumps. Did they make these? I don't remember if those were made or not. Plush. Figurines. It says 4 figures per pack. Which 4 figures? I have no idea. There's more action figures down here. Just remember, this was a popular television show in the 90s. And one more page of Goosebumps and that's going to do it. And these are more true action figures because there is some articulation, although it looks very limited. And then the monster head maker. .3D paint kit. Shrunken heads. And then egg monsters from Mars. And that's all she wrote. There's nothing else to see. In the 1997 Hasbro Toy Fair catalog. Anything in here catch your eye? Was there something in this catalog that you saw that you were like, I remember that, or I had that, or I want that again, or I never knew that existed? Tell us about it in the comments section down below. What stood out for you? I'll tell you what stood out for me was the Vortec, because it's basically mask. They're basically mask figures. And that stood out for me. Right here. As I pointed out, though, they are about as expensive as the old mask. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. I hope that you did. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you're new. All that good stuff. Check out some of our other videos. You may want to go back and find other catalog tours if you haven't seen any of the other ones that I've done, or vintage showcases of action figures and play sets that I've done, or modern unboxings, toy industry and adult collector discussions, and convention tours, and all sorts of things that we do here on this channel. So we hope you'll join us. And that being said, what more can I say? But thanks for watching. And we will see you again soon.